Hi, I'm RV, and I'd like to talk about my experience taking the IELTS Indicator exam. So, for the past few days, I've received a couple of messages from random people who'd also like to take the IELTS exam, but they don't know how to go about it. So, I'm making this video for you guys. So, I could just, if another random stranger would message me, I'll just send them a link to this video that would hopefully answer all their questions about the exam. So I took the IELTS indicator. It's sort of not really a new kind of exam. It's like 2 or 3 months ago, IELTS released this type of exam for countries who have their IELTS centers closed. So they did this so that students can still apply to their desired universities. So they can still take the IELTS safely at home. I'm from the Philippines, and all of the IELTS testing centers here are closed because of the strict lockdowns due to the coronavirus. So I had not really much of a choice to take the IELTS indicator so I could meet my submission deadline. Because if the testing centers are open in your country, they would advise you to go to those testing centers instead of taking the IELTS indicator, because not all universities and institutions accept this type of exam. You need to hop onto their website to check which institution accepts IELTS indicator scores. And it's better if you sort of call and contact your institution to make sure that they do accept it. In my case, I made sure they did accept it, and I was good to go. So there's not a lot of videos on this subject. I'll try to keep this video short and informative. I'll give you a brief rundown of what I went through the days leading up to my exam and the days after. So I took my exam on a Wednesday, that's August the 5th. And I received my results like a week after. It was August 11. It was pretty quick. And there's like two websites where you could take it, through IDP and the British Council website. I tried to initially book through IDP because when you go on the IELTS indicator website, it would immediately redirect you to the IDP website. But there was an issue in their payment, like transition to the payment option. I was able to create an account, and I reached the last step. It showed me that I had booked my exam, but there was no option to pay. So I was like, okay, maybe they're just going to email me, but I never received the email. And it gotten to the point where my booking was like canceled because I couldn't, like, I wasn't able to pay for the test. So I contacted their technical support, and until now, they have not responded. So instead of booking through IDP, I booked through the British Council website, and I'll show you what that would look like in a moment. So I decided to share my experience because there's not a lot of videos on this subject. The only video I found was from a Mogoosh IELTS instructor, and I'll share his video. I'll share a link to his video in the description box below. His video was like around 2 months ago. I'm not sure which website he booked, but he didn't experience any payment issues when he booked through the website. I'm not sure exactly which website, but for me and other people, they have been experiencing some issues on their website. So I'll show you. Let me go ahead and transition to the IELTS page so I could show you. All right. So Here, I'll show you. Okay, so this is the guy, and this is the only video I saw in regards to the subject. I'll give you a link to his video below, and he has a blog also. So you could also check out his video so you could see his experience. But I'll show you that other people have been experiencing the same issue here. This guy named John, he was like, I have some troubles to make the payment. How does it work? And then like I commented, I was like, yeah, same, happened to me. I was waiting for a payment prompt, but I never got one. So I did it through British Council. I'll give you a link also to their website, IELTS, who accepts the IELTS indicator. And they give you a description, what it is, once a week, and etc. So I'll show you that when you go to their direct site, it would take you to the IDP page, test format, blah blah blah, checklist. Yeah, you need all of these. Okay, the book now. Let's try booking. You need to enter your country, Philippines, submit. Oh cool, it loads the British Council now. They must have noticed that IDP has been having some issues on their site, because before, when I would like click the country, it would redirect me to the IDP page, but now it redirects you to the British Council page. Okay, so I booked mine through the British Council. So you go ahead and select your country and select your test date. For me, I selected August 5 for my listening, reading, and writing test, and my speaking test was a day before. I would highly recommend that you do your speaking test before your listening, reading, and writing so that you won't have any external distractions when you're taking your listening, reading, and writing exam. Because when you're done with the speaking test, you wouldn't have to worry. Like, for example, if you book your test like the day after, you might sort of get distracted when you're doing your listening, reading, and writing exam because you're worried about the test for next day, as compared to if you're already done taking the test. Then once you take your listening, reading, and writing test, you would have like a clearer mind. You would be able to concentrate more. So yeah, I definitely recommend that you book your speaking test a day before your listening, reading, and writing test. So let's go ahead and do a mock booking. I'm not actually going to submit this. I'm just going to show you guys what it looks like. So you select your test day, and then it will give you a pop-up. It's like, when do you want to take your speaking test? So here, there's no option to take it a day after. Let's see the other days. Yeah, it's usually 2 to 3 days before your actual test. So you can take it for the other days. You can actually take your speaking test on the day of your listening, reading, and writing test, but I won't recommend that because you're probably gonna be tired. So to conserve your stamina, I recommend like booking your tests in different days. So you'll have like the speaking test one day and then the listening and reading, writing test on the other. So let's go ahead and select the day. Select the day before, and then you'll choose a time. So here you can see, for me, I select the time that was available back then was, I think it was like 4:30 p.m. And the speaking test only took like 15 minutes. They'll give you a Zoom link, so you'll be required to download Zoom. Make sure it's compatible in your laptop. And another thing to take note of is you can't take the IELTS Indicator exam on your phone. You need to take it on your laptop or a computer. So here, if you select the time, it's in military format. So 3 o'clock here, that's not 3 p.m. That's actually 3 a.m. So you need to go ahead and select here. This is like the most, yeah, that's the only time available in the afternoon, and then it leads to the evening. So the earliest available time in the afternoon is 5:40 p.m. Okay, so blah blah blah. And then the test fee is $149. In my country's currency, that would be like around 7,000 pesos. So you'll be prompted to create an account. I won't go through the steps because I already created an account. Once you created an account, you will receive, let's see here. You'll receive like a notification of account creation, and then you will be prompted to proceed and complete the payment section. So I paid with my credit card, and after that, you will receive an email, a confirmation of your IELTS Indicator registration. So it would give you the instructions of what to do, how many minutes are allocated for each section of the exam, and you will be given like a link on the download for the Safe Exam browser. So for the Safe Exam browser, you need to like what this is it makes sure that you're not cheating, because here you're also required to read their terms and conditions, and there's a section here that tells you that there's a possibility that a proctor would access your webcam via the Safe Exam browser to make sure that you're not cheating. So let's try to look for that section here. See malpractice. So when you're taking the test, you're not allowed to use any notes or materials from any kind of source. You need to make sure that you're alone in the room. The room is quiet and empty. You can't look away from the screen too often. You're not allowed to use the VPN or change the IP address, and other stuff here as well. So I'll show you what the Safe Exam browser looks like. It looks like this, and once you're done downloading, this will pop up. When you click on next, it will check your system. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll do the blah blah blah. Make sure that your laptop has the required specifications. There we go. And then when you click next, we'll do the microphone test. The black bar needs to be within the green thing. And then the camera. So since I'm doing a video recording with OBS Studio, it's sort of using my webcam. But what would happen is you would see like a prompt here, and you would see your what your webcam is showing, and then you'll click next, and then it will prompt you to log in. So the instructions here, they tell you like a day or two before your test, you need to do a sub check, and this wasn't really clear in the instructions I received, because I booked it like 2 weeks ago. So I booked the test around, this was July 16, so that was like more than 2 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah, that was like 3 weeks ago from August 5. And then I kind of got worried because I never received my login details. I was like, well, I'm supposed to do a sub check, but how can I do a sub check when I did not receive any login details? So I contacted their technical support. I was like worried. I was like, oh yeah, what's going on? And then the tech person responded that, oh, your test date is still on August 5, and you'll receive all your instructions 48 hours before the exam. And yeah, I pretty much did receive all my instructions. So for my speaking test, I received the instructions. Test was on the 4th, and I received my instructions on the 1st. So I'll go ahead and show you what that would look like. So let's see here. There we go. Speaking login details. So you're required to download Zoom. It would only take 15 minutes, but I was surprised because when I went through the test, we finished earlier, I think 2 minutes earlier, and the examiner was pretty happy with my answers. It went pretty smoothly. I think I haven't tried taking a computer-based IELTS or a paper-based IELTS. The first time I took IELTS was through the indicator, so I'm pretty sure it's more or less the same with compared to any IELTS exam. It would just be conducted via Zoom, and you need to log in at least 5 minutes before your scheduled speaking test time. Otherwise, they will reschedule your test. So for me, I sort of logged in 30 minutes before the test time, and the proctor, the examiner, she came on like 5 minutes early. We did the identity check. So when you're taking the speaking test or the reading, listening, and writing exam, make sure you have your passport, because SEB would also require you to upload your passport here or ID. And so we did the identity check. She asked me to show my passport on the webcam, and then I did, and I read my passport number out loud, and then we did the exam. And it's pretty much more or less same. She asked me the basic IELTS speaking questions, like the 3 parts, where the first part is the introduction, the second part would be sort of a card, main topics, and the third part would be your opinion. So you could just Google IELTS speaking questions. At the end of this video, I'll give you links to resources that helped me prepare for my IELTS exam. And I'll also share like what my band scores are. But for my speaking band score, I got the perfect band score of 9. I was like actually surprised because before I started practicing, I was pretty much bad at expressing myself spontaneously. I mean, I'm fluent. I'm pretty much fluent in English, but there's like a huge difference in like talking to your friends compared to spontaneously speaking when someone asks you forced questions. Like you might experience like a point where you sort of freeze and sort of try to think about what you want to say. And yeah, you could just Google it, and then yeah. For the second part with the card, she did a screen share via Zoom, and I would see the questions. So as I mentioned before, in their terms and agreement, you're not allowed to bring a piece of paper when you take the exam, but for the speaking test, you are allowed, because in the second part of the test, you will need to write down the answers to your questions and then sort of like describe it to her. So I'm trying to remember what my questions were. It was like 2 weeks ago, so I kind of forgot. I remember, I think she asked me about what was the last part? I think the question was, who do you know do you know anyone who often flies? And then I answered my professor, because he works with the university. They send him to do meetings in the other university branches in Manila, and so on and so forth. I forgot. What was that? Yeah, I forgot the topic card question that was given to me. That was like 2 weeks ago. I should have written it down, but more or less it was that. And yeah, I aced that part of the exam because I got like a band 9, which is great. So anyway, after that is the listening, reading, and writing part of the exam. And the listening part was fairly straightforward. Once you click on SEB, let me see if I could sort of, I can't like go through the SEB pages again because I'm done taking the test. I can't like exactly show you what it looks like, but I'll try to draw it from memory via MS Paint. Alright, okay, there's my mouse. Okay, so this is the browser. And then you'll see like 3 prompts here. And it would say like listening. Okay, so it would say like listening, and then it would go like reading, and then it would go like writing, and there's like a prompt here, like go like next, and it would give you like details like blah blah blah, and then instructions, and then there would be like a prompt here, read instructions, and then take test. So once like you read the instructions, it would display the check mark, and then you're allowed to take the test and then hit next after. So the way the test is organized, you do the listening first, the reading next, and the writing. And I forgot to mention this. When you're taking the test, make sure you have good enough internet connection because when I did the sub check, before you take the test, you need to do a sub check, and what that is it makes sure that you have the requirements to take the test. When I did my sub check, when I reached the last page, I wasn't connected to an Ethernet cable, so my internet sort of like stopped for a second, and then the button grayed out, and I couldn't proceed, and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I had to email their technical support because I was like, the button's grayed out, I can't proceed, what do I do? So I exited sub and then reloaded it, and it prompted me for a password. I kind of like the British Council's, like, because their technical support is very fast. They respond promptly, unlike IDP, where until now I haven't received a response from their tech support in regards to their payment page. But with the British Council, they respond like 1 or 2 days after you send them an email, and they're able to help you out. So I would recommend that when you do take your test, make sure that you're connected to your Ethernet cable. The secure exam browser, it does have like safety features just in case you are taking the test and then you disconnect accidentally in the middle of your test. It's not like the browser would like exit and then submit your test. What happens is the browser would store the data, and then once you reconnect to the internet, that's when it would sort of send the data to their server. So they have like that safety feature in place. So if ever your internet is wonky on your test day and you experience that sort of problem, make sure that you're connected to the internet like minutes before your test exam ends, or else like all your answers won't be submitted. So that's the only thing I could say, but yeah. And also for the speaking exam, it's conducted via Zoom. What I would recommend is make sure you have a friend and then call your friend and do like mock exams via Zoom. Ask your friend to check your audio quality, because I remember I did a group study class, speaking class. I subscribed to like E2 Language and booked one of their group classes. And I remember, yeah, I booked one of their group classes with Graham. He's an awesome instructor. Anyway, I remembered like one of my classmates, he was sort of like an Urdu speaker, but he had an accent and you could still understand him, but his internet connection and audio quality was so bad that you can barely understand him. You need to concentrate really well to get what he was saying. So it wasn't solely the fault of his accent, it was mostly the fault of his audio quality. So when you're taking the speaking exam, make sure you invest in a good headset. I think he was just using his laptop microphone. Make sure you, or like, get a cheap microphone, test it on Zoom, call your friend, ask your friend, is your audio quality good? So that the examiner would easily understand you, so you wouldn't have to go through that technical issue. Because that guy, he took the indicator exam, he had high band scores for his reading, writing, and listening. He got like bands of 7 and 8. But for his speaking, he got like 4. And he tried to dispute it, but in their sort of terms and conditions, you can't really dispute indicator tests. You can only dispute computer-driven IELTS or the paper test. So he had no choice but to retake the IELTS exam again. So make sure that your internet connection is good and you have good audio quality for the speaking exam so that the examiner could understand you. Okay, now where were we? We were talking about the safe exam browser. So for the listening, reading, and writing part, it's basically like that. Before you take the test, it would prompt you to read the instructions. Then it would allow you to take the test. So you click on next, and what it would look like is it would basically look like this. You could just type in IELTS listening in the search box for YouTube, and you could see that there's like different types of there's like full tests, mock tests available, so you can practice on that. But more or less, the secure exam browser would look like this. The audio would immediately play once you hit next. It would go like, this is the IELTS test, the listening test, and it will give you the instructions, and it would give you time to read the questions before it would play the audio. So it would go like, you have half a minute to read questions 1 to 10. And then after that, the audio would play. So it would go like the 2 speakers or whatever. And then you can click on the section. So you could click on, there's like 4 sections. There's like a next button. It doesn't really look like this exactly, but more or less it's similar. So it looks like, let me go ahead and print screen this, and then like, so I could like from memory draw what it looks like. Right, so it looks like that, and there's like the bottom section there. And once you like marked a question, all right, so let's go. Once you like marked a question, this thing at the bottom would like tell you which questions you have like answered. And then I think there was like a volume button on the side, so there's like a volume here, and you could just adjust the volume. And then aside from that, there was like a button that would go like that and that. So you could, it's divided into like 4 sections, I guess. So it would like, there's like another bar, and then you would be on this section, and there's like a set of questions, and it's like 40 questions in total. And then you could just like click next. So even if the audio is playing, you could just click forward to see the other questions. And yeah, you could click back. But I would recommend like when the audio is playing, make sure that you're on the page for those questions. Otherwise, you'll get lost. But yeah, you do have the ability to click back and forth throughout the pages. All right, so after that is the reading. For the reading, you have the ability to highlight the sections in the text, and this is really handy. It saved me a lot of time. You can't really choose different colors. I'm not sure how, if that feature is available, maybe you can, but for me, when I took the test, the color was only yellow. So I used this tool often during the reading exam because there were some like challenging parts, like a lot of names, and I needed to highlight the names and make sure that I could answer the questions accordingly. So yeah, that's like the reading. For the writing exam, it's pretty straightforward. I received the easiest graph ever. It was a bar graph. And yeah, I was able to answer it with no problems. So for the writing exam, for me, I took the IELTS academic. I don't think there's a general IELTS indicator test. It's mostly for academic because it's mostly for students who are trying to apply to universities. Um, but yeah, for the academic, you need to describe a graph or a chart or a flow process, and then the next is your opinion. So I was able to answer both. I'm sorry, I forgot the questions I received. I don't know. I didn't know I would be making this video. So that's why I didn't bother to write it down or remember the questions. And after that, you'll be done. And then it would tell you you submitted your whatever, your questions, and then you're good to go. And you just have to wait for your results for a week after. So for me, I was trying to catch up to a deadline. I had to email them. I was like, hey, I know you release your results in a week after, but I need to have a confirmation email from you that I took the test so that I could send it to my school and tell them that, hey, I took the test, but the results would be delayed. So I was like, it would be possible to receive a confirmation email that I've completed the test. And they were kind enough. They were like, yeah, you could send this email over to your university telling them that you have taken the exam so that they could extend your application or give you the offer letter and sort of just wait for the IELTS exam to come through. So here's my results. Boom. I got a listening of 8, reading of 7.5, writing of 70.5, and speaking of 9. Overall, my band scores are 8, which is great. That was more than enough that was required for my application. So yeah, that's pretty much good. And I'll share the resources that I used to help me prepare for the test. So the first is Sevas. It's like on Facebook. It's an online thing, and you could they had a promo where you could pay I think it was 3,000 pesos or less. I forgot how much it was, and you could take their classes unlimited until you pass the exam. So I did that promotion, and yeah, I'm not allowed to go into the page to show you what they share, but it's pretty affordable and pretty great because they send you sort of materials every day. They give you a schedule and group classes, and I mostly attended their listening classes because I needed I needed practice for the exam. And what I recommend is to just practice every day, and that would help you. Because before I did all of this, I tried to take a mock exam, and I just conducted it myself because I think the IELTS page, they has a mock exam here somewhere, and I did it, and I got a band of 6.5, and I wasn't too happy about that. So that's why I decided to sign up for training in IELTS, because it's sort of weird. It does test your English capabilities, but you need to know how to answer the exam, so that because it's time based, you only have such a short amount of time to answer it. So even though I'm pretty fluent in English, when I first took a mock exam, it was around 6.5 or 6 something. But after I figured out how to do the exam, how to answer it, what to look for in the exam, then yeah, I pretty much got a really good score. So you could message their page. I think this is only available in the Philippines, but I don't know if you're outside the Philippines, you could try asking if you could join. Otherwise, you could try this other site. It's E2 Language, and they have free resources. And pretty much I went through everything, so you can see that there's not much here in my study pathway because I took all their practice tests. So I'll show you what it looks like. So like that. Yes, no, not given. You could click start, and then they would give you a test, and basically you could just practice. And they have a lot, so I'll show you that. Um, I'll show you that I've completed most of it. So every day I was just practicing on E2 language. I practiced the listening, the writing, everything. I actually bought one of their packages. It included a mock test. It was around, they had a sale, so it was around $50. It also included like speaking sessions and writing sessions, writing feedback and speaking feedback. So let me just go through this quickly with you. So yeah, it was pretty accurate. They were able to predict. I got like speaking of 9, it's like boom. And then reading, writing 7.5. So it's not too far from what their mock test predicted. So yeah, you could check your answers and stuff, because they would actually check your mock test and the speaking test. So they give you your scores. They have a lot of resources here. So here, especially with speaking, because they have like, yeah, you can see I went through everything. They have like topic toolkits, and they have a set of questions that you could ask your friend to ask you, so you could practice your speaking. And then they also have vocabulary. So this is a really good site. I definitely would recommend E2 Language. Their instructors are also great. I took a couple of their group classes. For the group classes, it's like a bit extra. You pay $15, but you know, it's sort of worth it because I learned a lot, especially from instructor Graham. He's great. He was able to give me some tips, and it worked well, and some ways to better practice. And it essentially just involves like you recording yourself and making sure that you're able to fluently answer the question. So I guess I covered everything for the IELTS. So yeah, if you have any questions, you could pop a comment below. Pretty much that's it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this video has helped you like to prepare and expect, and to know what to expect for the IELTS indicator. Once again, I recommend that you check with your institution if they accept IELTS indicator scores. Otherwise, if your testing center is open where you are, I recommend just to go to the testing center, because for other applications like visa applications, that's what they're gonna look for, is like the regular IELTS score. But for my institution, they said that the indicator was fine, so I don't have to worry about that. So thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps. And yeah, that's it.